Hey you guys, okay, so you might notice that I have a new camera and tech stuff. I'm just not the person that gets excited. I mean, I am excited about this new camera, but I don't like figuring stuff out. You know, if something works, I'm just gonna, whatever, I'm just gonna use it. I have not had a new camera in a shameful amount of time. The camera that I have used is like super nice. Like it's a very good like professional camera, but it was one that was more like, you know, the manual type of deal. And I'll be honest with you, I missed these days of just having a point and shoot camera, turning it on. I don't need an external mic. I don't need a this. I don't need a that. I didn't adjust the light. I cannot tell. The screen's pretty big. I'll link to the one that I have. And again, I don't even know. I mean, do I recommend it? I don't know. I'm gonna have to see. The screen's pretty big, so I can see myself, so I don't have to hook up like an extra thing. I don't even have it on a dang tripod, you guys. I have it on like a paper towel type of thing. Okay, this is great. This is like old days. Got my old point and shoot Sony camera back. I don't think I'm gonna put these on yet. Okay, I'll put these on last. Let me tell you guys. So if long story short, if the color isn't right, I know I seem a little frazzled because I'm like really paying attention to what it's doing. If the color isn't right, if it's, I'll figure it out. Okay, we'll figure it out. I'm just testing it out. Okay, so today's video is gonna be so fun. Okay, so I wanted to do a makeup tutorial as we do, talking as I go, sharing some things about some topics that we haven't talked about on here a lot, like some pretty deep things that are happening in not just like pop culture, but it kind of like ties into like bigger, deeper stories. And if you guys have listened to Brad and I's podcast, which we have 6 episodes now, so if you join, anytime you join, you get all of the back episodes always. So you'll have like over 6 hours. I think each one is like an hour and 15 minutes. Like crazy stuff that we've never talked about. We're very unfiltered there, no ads, so we don't have to be advertiser friendly, if that says anything. But people have asked a lot of questions like, where do you listen to it? You join on Patreon, I'll put that link below. We did that to have, like I said, extra freedom and to honestly have it into a smaller group that we felt more comfortable sharing, but we're honestly overwhelmed with how many of you guys are there. It's been crazy. It's been so much fun, just the interaction stuff, but Brad's 100% handling it. It's like his thing. But you can join there and then like say you like to listen through a different podcast listener, like Acast, Spotify, or Apple, whatever. We have it enabled to where you can get your RSS code, whatever, and then it'll just feed into your other listeners. So once you join, you're set up. And I think you just have to follow a few things for the RSS thing. I don't know. But it's pretty self-explanatory. People are loving it and getting that set up themselves. So that's good. So on there, we have really deep dived into a lot of like legal cases, the Erica stuff, the Britney conservatorship, even Jen Shah's case, like very deep things. We've talked about our specific theories on a lot of true crime things. We tell funny stories about we told stories about like when we met, our love story. I've never shared here, good, bad, like it's very unfiltered. Wouldn't share, I would never go as deep as we did there, obviously, but there I wouldn't really get super gossipy about the housewives or what I really think is going on with New York, what I really think is going on with the whole narrative on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and all that. So we're gonna talk about that, but mostly it's gonna be like makeup and stuff. So I don't know like how close to get. I feel like this is like, I don't know, it's just like a different lens, a different camera, but I'm into it. And I think it's okay. So let's get into it. So like I said, we cover really deep stuff on the podcast. I will link to that as always. A new episode goes up every Wednesday. But here I wanted to share my thoughts on what's happening in the show themselves, because Brad doesn't really watch the shows. So, and what I really think, you know, just opinions about New York and all of that, which covers like some pretty deep, you know, important issues with like race and, you know, and even on Beverly Hills, you know, and then the stuff with Eric. We're going to talk about it because I do think it's important. Okay. It's very important, hard-hitting stuff here with these housewives. These are back in stock. I got them during the anniversary sale. You should have too. If you didn't, I don't know what to tell you, but the price they are, 100% worth it, like I would say. So these are amazing. I'll put them on afterwards. I just love how hoops dress up an outfit. I'll link to these 2 necklaces, which are beautiful and delicate. And have I posted this on Instagram a lot? I feel like I have. Maybe it's just because I've literally been living in these suits, these jumpsuits, these $18 jumpsuits, okay, for the last like several weeks. Maybe, I don't know, maybe like a year or so ago, I showed you guys when I got the black and the green. And I have this color now, which is one of my favorites. And I have the like slate blue. And what I really like about this, oh, and now I can see if it's gonna like focus. Does it say paused? Oh no, okay, sorry you guys. Anyways, someone asked me, you know, is it clingy in the butt? And no, it's just fitted, but this is a little loose up here, but then it goes down and kind of tapers at your ankles. You can pull it all the way down. I like to kind of pull it a little bit so it kind of hits your calves and it just kind of stays there perfectly. But it's a very good jumpsuit. Like I said, it's $18. I think this color is my favorite. Brad, every time I wear these, he's like, I really like that. Like, I'm like, it's a jumpsuit. Like, what? Let's get into the makeup, you guys. I don't know. I feel like my skin has been so good lately. I haven't changed anything about my skincare. So all the skincare that I always talk about is still the same. However, I do have an upcoming like favorites video where we'll like deep dive into that and my hair and everything, because I do feel like my skin and my hair is like the healthiest it's been, certainly since I had a child. You know, since, I mean, Livy's 6, but you know, that kind of, I don't know, I feel like your body just changes so much and, you know, things get worse or better or whatever. For me, it kind of got worse. So, everything's great. And I thought I would do a makeup video today because I have so many great new things to share and new products, but then things that I really like that are simple, that are gonna give you that like snatched, sexy makeup look. I don't like to just do too much. I think gone are the days of like maybe 2015, I don't know, where it was like baking and God, that was probably before that. A million different layers of foundation, and then you have the light, the dark, the powder, the this, the and I think you can look beautiful on camera, but in real life it does not translate. I've said that so many times, no matter how great you do it. Speaking of, yeah, I gotta get my lip spray. Don't forget to use that, that's like key. You can achieve that look of the sexy eyes, the contoured face, the like flawless skin without so many layers. I gotta clean out this journal. There we go. Now I need to do, I'm gonna do an organization video. So, okay, I'm just rambling at this point. Okay, let's go. These are those Chanel clips that you can steal from the Chanel beauty counter. Don't steal them, ask for them, but they're the best. I love them. Okay, these, amazing. The little triangle of light, but when you put them on, it says to do it with the point down like that. I like to turn them on their side, so you get more of the long side under here, so you get more of it here. I'm like, I don't want to put it there anyways. Like, I'm gonna put makeup there anyway, so who cares? Do you feel like this camera is very clear? Can you see every little thing that I'm working with on my face? Probably. That's okay, we're just gonna go with it. Okay, I already put this on, my La Mer Moisturizing Soft Lotion. That stuff's so much. If you're gonna go into like a traditional foundation, something that doesn't have sunscreen, I use my Colleen sunscreen, but I've been using this lately. It has SPF 20 in it. It's great for every day. You could layer another sunscreen, but I don't like to layer. I really like to kind of keep it, you know, minimal. The Laura Mercier oil-free tinted moisturizer, and the color I use is 2-in-1 Nude. Sometimes I just put it on my fingers and rub it in, and sometimes I will, that's way too much, put it on the back of my hand and apply it with a beauty blender. Just depends on what I want to do. I remember using this a long time ago and not liking it, and they just recently sent that to me, and I'm like, this is good. And it's like the finish is beautiful, the coverage is amazing, that's what I'm trying to say. And I will link to my knockoff beauty blenders that are amazing. You can get like a ton of them for like less than the price of one. I love those. Okay, so we'll talk as we go. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills we'll talk about first, and then I really want to get into New York, since New York has just been, I feel like the consensus as that has been pretty awful. Consistently, the consensus has been it's been pretty awful. And I think, gosh, should we just get into that? Yeah, let's just get into that. And, you know, they added for the first time a black cast member, a full-time cast member, and then also they have a friend of named Bershawn, who, not gonna lie, you guys, I'm kind of living from Bershawn. Okay, I love Bershawn. And like, she has a lot of history with a bunch of different housewives on different shows, and she's got a really interesting, like, powerful career story that they're just not really covering. So I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure why. But anyways, Ebony, you know, she came on pretty strong from the very beginning. It was very political. Literally, you know, she talks about her political beliefs, really pressures the women into talking about theirs. And, you know, you see the pushback, you know, for years, these women, what do you watch when you watch New York? Every single franchise is different. It's, you know, very just a privileged set of like upper class, like women living in the city, white women living in the city that honestly, like, a lot of us don't relate to. Even if you live in New York, you're not living like that. You know, I know people that live in New York, and it's not about like even living there. It's just this lifestyle, you know, and it's like, for years, they've consistently, why am I saying that over and over, been one of the highest rated franchises. I think Atlanta is always the highest rated, which Atlanta's always been my favorite. They've had a few off years, but I think people don't really give them enough credit. Like I always hear say like, oh, you know, New York and OC was the first seasons, and I'm like, no, actually Atlanta came on technically second with New York. Okay, so, right? Is that wrong? Their ratings this year, I think they said was like 720,000 viewers. That, to paint a picture, on it's the lowest rated show on Bravo, period, I believe, now. And we'll get into that because I do want to give my opinions on that, why I think that is. I don't think it's all Ebony's fault. I think people are blaming, you know, it's just, oh, she's new and this and that, but I'll tell you the problem. I feel with the problem. To paint a picture for you, the 720,000 people, I'm not using the rest of them, you have to compare that to the lowest ratings I think maybe Beverly Hills ever had, or another, like a lower rated, not that they were a lower rated franchise, but I think the lowest episode of the lowest rated season ever was like 2.5 million. So something is definitely, I mean, for whatever reason, you got to think this is an old show and the audience has loved it for years for right or wrong reasons. That is like what people are wanting when they watch the show. And I don't think when you watch these shows, you always do want someone that's like morally superior. You want to see these like train wrecks. I hate to say that. You know, you want to see, you know, situations that are tough, but let me talk about my eye stuff, then we'll continue. Okay, this is the set that I got during the anniversary sale. Actually, this was my old one, but I have the Eye Base Essentials, which is a great eye base, very good. And then the Instant Eye Lift. I honestly bought it for the eye base and didn't really realize how much I would like this. I think I had this years ago and maybe it was the wrong color, but I'm using, it doesn't say what color it is, the Instant Eye Lift. It's very cooling, it's very nice. All I've been using under my eyes. So I put it right here, like I focus on that. And then I have like a little vein right here. It's on this side. So yeah, like cover over those things, but don't just like, you know. Sorry, it's a very attractive sound I just made there. And then I put some here because I always have like a little dot right there that looks kind of hollow. All right, so let's go. Whatever, it's overheating, that's great. Okay, so, camera's gonna like burst into flames. So here's what I think, that during this time you have to look too, it's like COVID, right? And I don't really think that's an excuse as to like why it's been boring visually, or oh, they don't have many places to go. They can go to their apartments. They've been to their apartments on the show. Like they've been doing that. They took some little trips. They're going to restaurants here and there. So no, I don't think that's it. But of course around this time it was the election, which other shows as well. So many issues as well when you bring a black woman into this group that hasn't met them before, really. I think she knew Leah. I think like, you know, production kind of introduced them earlier, so they came in together. And Leah, if you watched it last season, like I said, don't blame Ebony, and I'm gonna tell you why. I think it has to do more so with Leah. I think when you think about this show over the years, when Leah's been on it in the past, just what it was used to be, just a bunch of like, you know, upper class white women, whatever. Leah, when she came on the show last year, kind of fought against Ramona, said, oh, you're out of touch, like you're not living in the real world, like you're in your own bubble. And I think when she met with Ebony before, when Leah met with Ebony before, it was kind of a situation of like, we're the only ones that like really know what's going on in the world. These women are out of touch. We're gonna expose that. And I think while that is kind of interesting a little bit to bring up some, you know, tough topics and things that are like legit going on, like to kind of challenge someone about anything, it's what every episode's turned into. I also like to take this. I'm sorry, you guys, if I'm like very distracted by this camera. And it's thin enough to where you can like put it there and not look like goopy makeup, because I always look very dark there. Okay, so here's what happened. So I think they came in and it was more so, I think Ebony was led by that. I like watching the scenes where they aren't talking about real stuff, obviously, but where they're just like getting to know each other. And I think under normal circumstances for me, you know, speaking for myself, like whenever you get to know someone from a different background, from any background you don't even know, or definitely someone like of a different race or whatever, you don't come in and lead with like, you know, that, like, well, this flipping thing actually overheated. You know what? It was right in front of a light bulb. So I unscrewed the light bulb. Yeah, you know what? It's a whole thing, you guys. It's not that people don't want to see racial issues. I want to see that. I want to see people challenge it. But when that happened with Garcelle and Kyle, Garcelle pulled her side. I think that was one of the most interesting, one of the most educational moments. And Garcelle didn't let her get away with that. You're going to use that moment to talk about this issue, to teach her. But Garcelle doesn't do that 24 hours, doesn't do that the whole time she's on the show. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong, but I'm saying whatever it is, it's not working. I'll tell you why, because it is cringy. When you watch New York, the dinner that they had last night, the Shabbat thing, it was like Black Shabbat is what Ebony called it, but she invited, I think, there were 2 other Black people there, and then the whole cast, but she didn't invite Bershawn, which Bershawn's feelings were hurt about that, but then you didn't even get to talk to the other people that were there. It was so cringy. And then they did like a, you know, coming soon or like a cliffhanger. And I'm thinking, why would you do that? This is the worst dinner I've ever seen. Nobody's going to watch that. And I think, God, they had such a good opportunity to like show what like a Shabbat dinner is, to, you know, kind of include, to get these people's stories. Maybe they will next week. I don't know. They didn't set that up very well. But I think there's a lot of like weird editing going on. The way the editors are doing this, not giving the show any favors. It's not doing anything for Ebony. Use this. I need to bust into my new one I actually got during the sale, but it's hard for me to, this is my new little brush. And I do feel like Ebony hasn't really gotten a chance, because I think she's interesting and I would have loved just to see more about her. And even like in her personal life, you know, her personal story is that she's trying to find her family. And I'm thinking, why would the editors do that to her? That is an interesting thing, but no one wants to see that from someone that we don't even know anything about. Like, we haven't even been introduced to her, you know, other than just like very surface things. So yeah, that's interesting, but no one is really that invested in her yet enough to want to find like a family member. And even when people that have been on the shows for a long time have that storyline of trying to find a family member or something, it's hard to watch sometimes, you know, for people. And I just feel bad for her, because I'm like, gosh, they should be like giving her more of a chance. Like, how do they not realize that this isn't working? You know what I'm saying? And maybe, I guess they do. And what's very interesting too is I've heard a bunch of rumors about the reunion, and that Ramona has been saying that she's not going to film by putting on way too much bronzer, probably. This is just like a soft wash, right? It's cool. Like, don't try to really layer it up like I am. Am I layering it up too much? I don't know. I like just like a soft wash of this. I wish Bershawn was on more. She's a hoot. I think, okay, so anyways, yeah, the Ramona thing, so that the reunion is like postponed indefinitely because they should have already filmed that. That's what people are saying. And that she is saying she doesn't want to film with Ebony, and that she's not gonna talk about anything racial, and that Ramona is saying she's gonna quit. Well, then Ramona was on Watch What Happens Live a week ago, and her and Andy dispelled all of those rumors. They said that's not what's happening. But yet people are still saying, I don't really know what's going on. Like, what is actually going on? And I want to see more Bershawn. I think she's really interesting. I want to see more Dorinda. Where's Dorinda? If Dorinda were there this year, which the cast is way too small. They need an extra person. Why on earth they got rid of Dorinda, I will never know. And I think she probably, if she would have been here, could have saved the season. Her Berkshire's house could have saved the season. I miss them going to the Berkshires. I want to see that. You know, I think she would have really been interesting with Ebony. I think it would have been an extra dynamic. Like, I think what's going to happen, and I think Andy said that he's not going to get rid of anybody next season. I think I would have liked to have seen Ramona without Leah. And I didn't even mind Leah so much last season. I don't know. I feel like something's a little off there. Even if they are getting, even if that was a conversation they had before, it doesn't feel real on this show. I don't know. It's not making sense on the show. For whatever reason, it feels cringy. That's clearly what most people think, because it's just the ratings are awful. It is what it is. Nobody's watching. I'm going to use the Nude Rose, the caviar stick. I love these caviar sticks. The Nude Rose is nice because it's kind of like a little bit of a color. It's a little like peachy pink. Look, I know it sucks, like when there's a bad season, when there's something that feels off. But I think every show kind of has that here and there, and New York, I think, has done pretty well over the years without a whole bunch of those. So I think give it a chance, and I think next year Dorinda's going to be back, and I would love to see Dorinda with them. And I think if you got Ebony still there and Bershana's still there, but then you don't have Leah, I think it would be a lot better. Nothing against Leah, but like even her personal stories, it's like a little strained and a little like, you know, we're not invested in her family. We don't know. I don't know. It's just weird. Okay, so I don't know. I feel like they've got to bring back some old blood. And then with Beverly Hills, like I said, Garcelle, you know, I am like loving her this season. I love everything about what she said this week. I like how it flashed back to all the times when she did ask like the stressful questions or, you know, things that you would want to ask. You know, I'm really into her. And all of that happened with Erica, I'm gonna link to everything I'm using. This is the Win Pencil Matte Gel eyeliner. I love it. All that happened with Erica when, you know, she ran and started crying, you know, when Garcelle asked about, you know, brought up the fact that Erica had said that Tom called her. Basically, early in the episode, Garcelle, Erica, and Crystal all went on a hike. And as they're like leaving the hike, you know, like it's panned over them. You don't know if they're really saying this in the moment or like when this was said, but you can hear Erica saying, yeah, Tom calls me and he like begs to talk to me. Oh, I love you, this and that. That doesn't fit her narrative that she's been giving all season. I don't know if she didn't know she was being recorded or if then they played that over that to make it seem like she was telling them in front of everybody. But apparently Garcelle didn't get the memo that Erica did not want them to bring that up because the story that Erica or the narrative has been very much like, you know, is, you know, terrible. That's why I left him. Look how he treated me. Look at this and that. So that doesn't really fit the narrative, you know, of him being terrible when she says like, you know, he's calling me and being sweet. So I think she regretted saying that. And so then they're all, you know, sitting around Kyle's table later, living room, whatever. And Garcelle's like, you know, and of course they're all sitting around, they're having a show. What do they expect they're going to talk about? Garcelle, like good for Garcelle bringing this up. Like what else is she supposed to say? She was like, yeah, Erica said, you know, that Tom calls her. And she said it in a very respectful way. Erica flipped the hell out, went and started crying. And, you know, it seemed off the wall and like a really like larger than life reaction to that. But you have to think she's losing control of her narrative. And this is a woman who is very much like in control, wants to be in control of the image she's put out for all these years. Because we find out that it was nothing like what she put out on the show. So when you saw her, you know, freak out, you know, on Dorit that time, you know, you don't know what I go through at night or whoever she was talking to or, you know, on the boat and then at dinner. All those things were just her kind of like blowing up when she lost control of what she wanted to talk about in her personal life. And that's just honestly the fact that she got through this long on the show without something like blowing up like that is even more than it did in the past is surprising to me. So when she saw that come out, or heard that come out, she just kind of lost control of herself and literally of her narrative. And I think that's kind of where all that came from. So yeah, I smudge the liner. That's a really good one. And then I take my Tom Ford pen and I just go right at the lash line, just sweeping it. You don't even need to get up close. It's just like little flicks, mushing it right into the lashes. And then it gives you like a more like, you know, solid lash line. to make your lashes look thicker, which is what eyeliner does anyways. So yeah, I really, really, really like Beverly Hills this season, obviously, just because there's a lot to talk about. But, you know, Garcelle, she's becoming a fave of mine just because of how direct she's being. And on her first season or two, how many seasons has she been on? A couple? She hasn't been my favorite just because, you know, I feel like, yeah, on these shows you do have to be kind of larger than life, and you do kind of have to like really get in there and start stuff to be interesting. And I hate to say that, but now she's getting in there and it's a natural progression. That's why I like her even more, because I see now she's being herself. She's being exactly who she is. She's being, if I was on a show, like, what are you gonna do? Sit around and not call stuff out? Like, when they showed that back, I'm like, I loved all of the questions she was asking. That's exactly what I would have done too. So before I go any further, I just busted into my new one. I love this so much, the spray. Spray a little bit on your sponge and go right up under your eyes just a few times, because you don't want to wipe off your concealer, but just do it right where you have creasing, okay, or lines. Don't do it anywhere else. Just do it right where you have lines, and this will set and it won't it'll keep it looking fresher. And you can even do it like around your nose, anywhere where like you have makeup settle, you know. So it's kind of a cool trick, and then we'll spray it on again at the end. This is the number 21. I love it. And what I do with the blush is I do it kind of on the outer part and down a little bit. Don't do it super high, because you don't want it to like look like a line, you know, like where you put your concealer. But I just do little strokes of it like that. Don't get too far to the middle. And then, I love this stuff. Anyways, you can use your fingertips. I like to use a little blush brush. And then if you want more, which, you know, sure. I like to layer over it, because this will last, but again, like I like a layer, okay? This is so good. It's the Hermes Rose Pomette. You guys, this stuff is like the most luxe blush, and it has different colors too. It's like so luxe, and when I said how much I love this brush, it's like shedding all over the place. It's like I'm done. And then this will last all day, and you'll look just very like dewy. I take this, kind of go, because I did get that a little high. But okay, back to the whole show. I just feel like, you know, these women are so interesting. I think that New York is going to get back, and I don't, again, think it's something that you should blame one person for. I think it's just many factors. I don't think it's necessarily, you know, that people don't want to talk about real life issues. I think the way that she's going about, the way that it's being portrayed, or the way that it's happening, the way that it's being shown on the show is in a cringy way. And I've seen many shows that address issues like that in ways that are not. And I just think that's unfortunate, because they did have a good, you know, thing there, you know. But I think going into it, I think there were some plans, or some, I don't know. I think that Leah and her thought it was going to go differently than it did. Okay, so before I continue, you guys, I got 2 tubes of this, or in the set, you know, at the anniversary sale. I love it so much. I ended up giving one to a friend of mine. She loves it too. It's just so great. It's pricey, you guys, but it is good, okay? It's the Chantecaille Faux Cils. I mean, I'm having to use like such a light hand that I'm gonna put a little more right there just to kind of boost that. But anyways, y'all, I think, here's what. If I worked for Bravo, I'd keep Ebony. I would make Leah like a part-time or a friend of, just so they don't totally give her the boot. But I would kind of separate that a little. And I would keep all of the other women, but add in Dorinda. And if they could get Bethany back, oh my God. But then, here's what, and I'm not even like the biggest Bethany fan, but I like on other things, but I'm a huge fan of her on the show. I'm not such a fan all the time. It's like lash that, like those outer ones like to stick together. When they do, they look crazy. I'm not always a fan of like other things she does, her charity obviously, but like that show that, she's done some shows, you know, that are just kind of odd. I don't know. But I think on the show, she's amazing. But then I'm like, God, I would love to see her and Leah together. Could you imagine her and Leah? I mean, that would be great. I would love to see them kind of go at it. So maybe they should just add That would be like the dream cast. Just keep everybody. Keep Leah, keep everybody. Add in Dorinda and Bethany. And let's just like have a party. But yeah, I mentioned Potomac earlier, and I always do when I mention these. I've told you guys for years, literally since I think I got into it the second year. First season wasn't so great, but everyone that watches it always says the same thing. It's so good. And you know, you hear people that don't watch it, and that's another thing. People that are even like huge podcasters or huge recappers or whatever that talk nothing but Bravo, literally like 2 years ago, they wouldn't even recap Atlanta. They weren't talking about Potomac. You know, there's a really big podcaster that I love her so much, but she would always say, I don't watch Atlanta. I don't watch Atlanta. And you know, I'm not saying it's because of this or that, but she was just like, I can't relate to them, or I can't. I'm thinking, you know, you're missing out. But then now, you know, loves it and watches it. And I think that's great because, you know, why weren't you watching it anyways if you're a Housewives fan? But I do think that there's so many just classic. Atlanta is just one of the best, okay? I told my friend the other day, I was like, if you're having a bad day, just watch the Bolo episode from this last season. Like, you don't even need to like be following anything. But this last season wasn't super great, but it was better than a lot of the stuff I've seen. I think this next season of Atlanta is gonna be so good. But Potomac always delivers. If you're gonna start it, I would say maybe, I didn't love the first season, but it kind of jumps off. Like, it gets really good. It gets better and better. And to the people saying that New York is just getting better and better with each episode, I disagree. Like, there was one, maybe was it last week or the week before, where I was like, you know what? We're gonna get this back. Like, the girls were all together doing fun things. You know, Ebony still wasn't taking any crap, and she was still like calling them out and stuff. But it wasn't like, you know, cringy to watch, like hard to watch. And I'm not gonna say hard to watch. There's been, like I said, huge things, like very heavy, deep issues on so many shows. But the difference is this ain't it. Like, it's not even, they're not even talking about things that I would say are super, she could just, I don't wanna say she, because it's not her place, but like, it could be handled in such a different way. Like I said, we could learn more from Kyle and Garcelle's conversation than in this entire season of whatever they think they're doing on New York. I don't know. I just don't understand it. But I watch every week. Yeah, I will continue to watch, obviously, because I, you know, I've always been a New York fan, but I don't know. So for highlight, I haven't been like liking a ton of powders or anything, and I love this. I feel like I'm gonna have this for the rest of my life, because really it's meant to be like mixed in, you know, like with something, or just really mixed and like smoothed all over your face. Sorry, I feel like I'm thinking of mascara. Again, the eyelash is like going nuts. But I like to put just a little bit and then just kind of touch it where you want a little bit. It won't wipe off your makeup if you don't smear it around, but it's just the prettiest like sheen. So nice. So it gives you just the prettiest sheen. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but when I was doing my, see, like naturally, it just looks good. I didn't have to do like a ton of contouring. And what I do with my nose, and like even just this bronzer creates sort of that illusion of like that shadow, because when you really harshly contour, you blend it all out anyways. And yeah, I could have had like a much more like defined look if I did add another contour or then something before this, but I just don't think it's necessary. And what I like to do on my nose is, I think I was talking during it, but I just do the whole thing. Instead of just doing the sides, I do the whole thing, and I feel like it's just more of a like uniform thing rather than having like the little stripe in this like to make it protrude. I don't know, I just think it's more flattering. Did I rub that in? For my brows, I mean, this is so good. It's the Trish McEvoy Precision Brow Shaper. Another thing I discovered during the sale, it doesn't even have a lid. Like at first I thought, is the lid missing? You just roll it up and it's a little pencil, and it really goes a long way. And I really don't fill my brows in a ton, especially in the middle. I think it looks better if they're a little more wispy in the middle or not as filled in. And I just kind of get that right there, which is honestly, it's filled in so much since using my brow serum. And my lash serum is obviously great, but the brow serum is great too. I will link to the exact one that I use. But I just, instead of really trying to, okay, I'm just gonna like darken my brows and make them look totally different, I just go around and make sure that they look smooth. And this is just such a good color. It is in the, it doesn't say, it's like brunette, natural brunette. and I feel a good universal shade. I just love it. It's not fussy, it's just perfect. And I feel like it's worked so much better, not super defining my brows. And then I always do take a little bit of a gel, and this one I really love. It's the Chanel. Kind of want to get like the clear, but the brown is good. I mean, you could really go to town and like do your whole brows. That's what I used to do. But the only place I really use the brow gel is like here, which is good anyways, because even if this darkens them just a little, it'll be like in the spot where they need to be the darkest anyways. Because sometimes your brows can look a little makeup-y, or, you know, as you get a little older and you have like the little stray gray brows, or they're getting blonde, right? I have a few blonde eyebrows. This helps, okay. This lip pencil, you guys, is so great. You know, even on the daily, like I will do just a quick swipe of like this, or a lip balm. I love this, the La Mer. But I haven't been using a lot of lip gloss lately, which is odd. If I'm gonna do my lips, I don't put like a gloss over it. And even during the day, like if I'm gonna just do something very simple with my lips or just not do anything at all, I still always use this. This is the Natural Mauve. The Bronzel is also really good. It's like a waterproof, I believe it's waterproof, but it stays on. It's just enough to like create your lip shape. And, or not to create it, I mean you could, but just to get it defined. Because my lips are very pale. My lip line, especially since I get lip filler and stuff too, you know, sometimes your line can look a little fuzzy or not so defined. And this is like the exact color. Get it right on that lip line, especially if you have lip filler. If you go beyond that, it's gonna look a little, which that's fine, I do that sometimes. It's like a whole other look. But if you're wanting it to be like a look like this, what the hell is that? It's just like natural, you know? Follow that lip line just perfectly. And what's great about it is that it has really great staying power. So even like as your lips kind of wear off during the day, this kind of stays, you know what I mean? Like your lip color might wear off, but this will stay. Did I just like wipe all that off? And then it has the brush. The built-in brush is genius. Like even if I use other colors, sometimes I'll still pull this out just to use the lip brush. And then you guys, this is so good. Again, another kind of splurgy thing. I've had this for a long time. It's the Kalahari Beige by Hermes. It's the best lipstick, you guys. It's just the right color. Again, like your perfect lip color. It goes with that Natural Mauve, like so good. But put a little bit. That was even more than I usually do. I don't like really, you know, get it super goopy. I just like it to be on there, and this is done. And it's not so goopy, you don't have to like worry about it rubbing off or anything, and it's not drying. But I like to also put like a little bit of a light color, and this Kim KW shade by Charlotte Tilbury is the perfect nude. So instead of a lip gloss, this is what I've been doing. I just put on the bottom. It's the perfect like blendy nude. So I just love this. I feel like it's natural. It's like sexy and pretty and kind of bronzed. I mean, you can wear it anytime, but this has just been like my basic go-to. So it's not like a bunch of heavy makeup, but you get the effect of like, I don't know, I just feel like the eyes look good. Like everything looks good. And if you saw in person, like if you saw me in person or anywhere, like it just looks, it looks natural, it looks good. And I think especially, I don't want to say like aging, but yeah, like, I mean, I'm 37. All of that heavy makeup doesn't look good. But that doesn't mean you don't need to wear makeup or go for a super natural look. You can just choose better products. You know what I mean? Like this, so light, but it's moisturizing. My skin feels comfortable. My skin doesn't look like it's cracking during the day. It's not like settling. Also has like the SPF 20, it says nothing on it. I just like to do that afterwards. I don't know, I really love it, and the coverage is good, but my skin feels comfortable and it looks like skin throughout the day. The finish is beautiful. Yeah, and I just love this. I've had it for years. It's by Laura Mercier too. It's like I think it's called like a finishing brush. So yeah, if you were gonna use powder, but I don't use powder, I feel like sometimes it just makes your skin look very cracky. It adds another layer. It's actually, to me, it does the opposite in hot weather, or if you're oily, it just clogs your pores. My skin is clearer when I don't use a powder product. But yeah, this is a good brush. It's a little Laura Mercier brush that I've had forever. And yeah, if you were gonna use like a loose powder or something, that's good. But especially after doing, well, the setting spray, I just kind of do this. And I feel like everything looks good and together. And just a very simple look. You put on some earrings. Oh my gosh, you guys, especially with this. I mean, I'm telling you, get yourself one of these jumpsuits. You're gonna thank me. It's like the best thing ever. Get a couple colors, and then I think you'll get like free 2-day shipping if you do that. I hope they're still on sale. I think normally they're like $28 or I don't know. So yeah, I'm into it. Grab these earrings. But yeah, I love you guys so much. Cannot wait for the next video. And like I said, you know, check out our podcast. We do talk about totally different things. Like I said, we're really deep diving into like a lot of theory, things that I wouldn't be comfortable talking about here, that I've never, but you know what I'm saying? I just feel like it's you know, talk more about those types of things. And obviously you're getting Brad's perspective, and we're having such a good time over there. We're glad that you guys are loving it. But I will link to every single thing that I've worn in this video. Cannot wait for the next video, you guys. I love you so much. So many fun things coming up in the next couple months. We're gonna take you guys somewhere cool and so many things to share. So I love you guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, y'all.